Hi, and good afternoon to each one of you. There's going to be a lot of people coming on Facebook here momentarily, on YouTube, and also Zoom and StreamYard. So we got a lot of stuff going on today, and I'm especially grateful for each one of you that tunes in and listens and reads my books. I appreciate that. You can see the books behind me. Freedom to Succeed was my first book. And then I wrote People-Centered Leadership, which became an Amazon bestseller. And so that's another great book. And then my third book is called Seeds. It's the one right over here, Seeds, and 31 entrepreneurial lessons that I learned from the farm. So where are all my farm people? You'll enjoy reading that book. And my last book is the small book right here, 15 Things Great Leaders Do and 10 Things that You Shouldn't Do. So I suppose one day I'll write several more books. Right now, I'm just kind of in a stage of life where I'm busy and I'm coaching and I'm speaking and I'm helping people get to the next level in their life, in their business. And that's what I enjoy doing. So if you're looking to hire a coach, I would be honored if you would consider hiring me. And I'm not a numbers guy. There's plenty of coaches out there that coach you based on finances. I'm more of a leadership, personal development, employee engagement, marketing, growth, more of a growth guy. So if that's what you're looking for, if you're looking to grow your company, I am uniquely qualified to help you in that area. And at the end of this call, I'm going to share with you how we can get in touch with each other. I'm going to give you a phone number. So to get started on the call, I want to respect your time. I want to be out of here within an hour, no more than an hour. I'm going to be speaking, and I went way, way, way back into my archives of stuff that I've talked about before on either on stage or either like on a Zoom call like this or a phone call. But I went way back, like maybe 7 years ago is when I spoke about this. And I remembered that people really liked it. And so here's what I want to challenge you with. If you like this content, the stuff that I talk about, share it on Facebook, share it with your friends, tell people, give people the phone number. There's a lot of people on the phone right now. Give people that phone number, and we want to try to blow this thing up and get a lot of people on these calls, more than what it is on right now. And I appreciate everybody coming on. But I went way back and I found something that I haven't talked about probably in about 8 years, 7 or 8 years. And the title of it is 8 Habits of the Most Successful People That Lazy People Lack. So I'm going to talk about 8 things that you need to start doing, and doing it as a habit. A habit, we think of a lot of times a habit is bad, but there's actually really good habits to have. And I'm going to be sharing with you 8 habits that if you start doing this habitually, and if you start in living in these 8 things, your business and your life will improve. Now, it says 8 habits of the most successful people. So I want to ask you a question. And you don't have to answer it. I just want you to think about this. What is success? What is success? If somebody walked up to you and said, hey, what's the definition or your definition of success? And, different, like if you ask a preacher what success is, they'll probably have more of a spiritual application. If you ask a business person what success is, they'll probably have more of a business answer. If you ask a marriage counselor, what do you define as success? He'd probably give you more of a relationship answer. And so success is, in a very simple form, a simplistic way of explaining success, is setting a goal and reaching it, or simply accomplishing what you want to accomplish. So a lot of times, to help you better understand the definition of a word, think of the opposite of the word. So what is the opposite of success? It's failure. Failure is a It's not doing what you want to do. It's not accomplishing what you want to accomplish. So in a very simple way, success is accomplishing what you want to accomplish. Okay. Now you can have success in many different areas. And you can be very successful in business, but be a failure in relationships, or you can be a success in relationships and be a failure in business. You can have a great marriage, but your business could be falling apart. Okay. So success is not a one dimensional term. Like when somebody says he's a successful person, you need to ask, in what capacity? How is he, in what area is he successful? Because not every person is successful in every single area of their life all the time. So hopefully you have lots of successes. I think you're successful if your plan is to get up and drive to the next town and have a meeting with somebody, and that actually happens. You had success. That is success. And so as I'm talking about these 8 habits, we're mostly talking and honing in on business success and relationship and leadership success. We're not talking about spiritual success in today's 8 habits. I'm sure there's a lot of stuff that we could talk about in a spiritual sense out of these 8 habits, but I just want us to have this short conversation about how we should look at success. Success has many different avenues or ways to look at it. Okay. So success is a game of habits. Okay. If you habitually do something, if you do it over and over, and it's a good thing that you're doing, you're going to start seeing some fruits of that actions. When I talk to people that are interested in my coaching, they ask me, is there a guarantee? Is there a guarantee on my coaching? And the answer is no. There is no guarantee on my coaching, because there's a variable that I can't control, and that variable is you, the person that I'm coaching. But I can guarantee that if you do the things that I ask you to do, and you do the work, and you put the effort in, and you implement the things that I teach you, I can guarantee you will see a change in your business. But success is implementing. Success is doing. It's the habits that we do. So success is a game of habit. In itself, success is a relative term. And so its achievement is fully dependent upon the habits you put into place that move you step by step toward the end that you defined for yourself. So the habits that I'm going to be talking about is the things that you do to make you successful. If you don't do anything, you won't be a success. You won't have success in any area of life unless you do something. If you fail to do something in every area of your life, you will not be successful. You will be a failure. If you fail to eat, you will die. Okay. And so it's one of those things that the habits, the things that you do, is what brings about success. And that's why coaching, it doesn't really depend on the coach. Yeah, it does in a sense. I suppose there's some coaches that are better than others, or some that are worse than others, some that you probably shouldn't tie yourself to, but most of the responsibility of coaching is if the player, if you think of basketball, the coach can tell you what to do, but if the player doesn't do it, they won't have the success. So the habits is hugely dependent on your success, the habits you have. So to be successful, it becomes a matter of routine you put into place for yourself. Whenever you're looking outward, for example, it is very clear the differences between those who create positive daily habits for themselves versus the people who let life's wave dictate their day-to-day. So if you don't have a plan, if you don't have a routine to a certain degree, now there's some people that are very routine. I once had a roommate that you could tell what time it was because he did the same thing every single morning at the same time. So if I heard the cereal being poured into the bowl, I knew it was a certain time because he did everything at the same time all the time. And so the habits that we have is what determines the success that we get. All right. And so the people that let life happen to them are not going to be as successful if they are if they just are wishy-washy and let all things happen. All right. So I'm getting a call from one of my clients. I'm not sure what that's about, but he'll have to wait. And can you guys hear me okay? Somebody on the phone call, just let me know if you can hear me okay. Okay.
Yes.
Thumbs up. Perfect. All right. I just want to make sure I'm coming across on Facebook as well. Yes, it is live. So perfect. Okay, we're all set. A lot of times when my client calls me, they tell me, hey, something's not working on the live. So I checked everything is working good. And so anyway, what I was saying is that the people that allow life to happen to them usually are not going to be as successful as people that makes them happen to life. In other words, I have a plan and this is what I'm doing. And so the habits with a plan is the recipe for success. Great habits with a well thought out plan is a recipe for success. All right. So the number one habit that I want to talk about that most successful people have that lazy people don't have is number one, successful people plan ahead. So we talked a little bit about a plan. Failure to prepare is the act of preparing to fail. Okay. Now, I used to have a radio show, and my good buddy Todd Saylor, who I interviewed on my radio show, and later he said, "Hey, I want to be your co-host. I want to be on the show with you." And so we did the show together for about 2 years, I think it was. He used to want to know what the subject matter was, what we're going to be talking about, and it was a call-in show, and it was just one of those things where it was hard to have a definite plan. And he used to tell me, Dave, you got to have a plan. You can't just wing it. Okay. There's some people that are better at winging it than others. And so I tried to really have a plan and an outline, and we got pretty good at it. But what was so funny about it, Todd came with a plan and then threw it away. So Todd, if you're listening, I miss those days and I miss hanging out with you. But successful people plan ahead. It doesn't mean that you actually have to do the plan, but to plan ahead and to kind of have an outline of what you're going to talk about. See, right now, I have an outline of these 8 steps, but I don't know what all is going to come generically in my brain that I can just spew out that I wasn't planning on talking about. Okay. Some of us have that gift where we just open our mouth and words come out. Failure to prepare is the act of preparing to fail. Those who are successful at what it is they want to do spend a healthy amount of time planning, thinking, strategizing, and preparing in advance. They don't wait until the moment has arrived to contemplate how they're going to tackle a situation. And so successful people play a game. They play a game of what if. One of the things that we do with our clients, we ask them, what would happen if you get hit by a bus in your business? What would happen to your business if all of a sudden you got hit by a bus? What if a giant asteroid would come in and wipe out your business? What would you do? What is the plan? How are you going to handle life adversities? And so part of that is planning ahead and thinking about some of the things that could happen in your life and in your business. So it's one of those things where when you plan ahead, it's going to really help you to think about the what ifs. And then once those what ifs happen, because we all know what ifs will happen. We all know life is going to life. It's going to happen to us. And if you can think about those what ifs and have kind of a plan ahead of what you're going to do. Like, for instance, when I'm flying my airplane to come see some of my clients, I'm always looking down. I'm 17,500 feet up in the air, but I'm always looking down and say, if my engine failed, where would I land? Okay. So I'm always looking at runways, airports, fields. There's a mountain over here. I'm going to stay away from the mountains. I want a flat, smooth place. And so I'm always prepared for what could happen. And that's part of planning ahead. Spend some time each night and at the end of each week reflecting on what it is that you've accomplished already and what it is you want to get done next. So here's a strategy that I help a lot of my clients do. When you feel overwhelmed, when you have so much on your plate that you can't quite fit it all in a day, before you go to sleep, write down the top 10 things that you're going to do tomorrow and then prioritize them 1 through 10. Okay, do that right before you go to sleep. And the reason I say that is your subconscious mind, while you're sleeping, is working on that list. Your subconscious mind is super, super powerful. Okay, have you ever been driving to a location and all of a sudden you get there and you realize, I don't remember turning on Route 4. I don't remember putting my blinkers on. I don't remember, passing a semi. I don't remember passing the Dairy Queen, and you realize that you did this whole thing subconsciously. Your subconscious mind works while you don't. Your subconscious mind can work when your conscious mind doesn't. So, if I'm focusing on something, that's my conscious mind. But when I reach over here and grab this cup and bring it to my mouth to have a drink, that's my subconscious mind, because it does it. It's kind of like your autopilot. And so when you're able to give your subconscious mind the list of things that you need to do tomorrow, your subconscious mind will start sorting that, putting priority to it, and you will wake up with a much more clear idea of what you need to do in the morning to get started. So spend some time each night at the end of each week reflecting on what you've already accomplished and what it is you want to get done next. Make your list, create your plan of action, and then let that ruminate in your subconscious while you sleep. And the next morning, you'll be one step ahead. This is a true story. Somebody gave me, and I feel like I said this on the last call, but I'll say it again because it really brings out this point. Somebody gave me a puzzle, something that you're supposed to like take apart, and I forget how it was. It was back when I was 21 or so. And I love those puzzles. I love figuring things out like that. And this one, man, it just got me. I spent 2 or 3 days trying to figure it out. And one night I was laying in bed and I stayed up till like 1 o'clock and trying to figure this thing out. And I finally got so frustrated with it, I threw it across the room, turned the light off, and went to sleep. Well, at 3 o'clock in the morning, I had a dream. My subconscious mind was working on that puzzle. And I had a dream, or it was almost like I woke up and I knew how to get that puzzle apart. And I turned the light on, went over there, and within 3 or 4 seconds had that puzzle apart. And it was like, wow, my subconscious mind was working on that while I was sleeping. And so there's a lot of science behind what I just said there as well. So number 2, the first one was successful people plan ahead. That's habit number 1. Number 2, successful people do the hard stuff first. And it's kind of like the book says, eat that frog. You want to eat the frog first so that the soup is good. Okay, it's a whole story. If you don't know the book, you can get the book. Lazy people have a knack for getting done all the things that are not true priorities. But when it comes to the hard stuff, they suddenly find every reason why they could not complete the task. That's because hard stuff is hard. Hard stuff is hard. It is a priority for a reason, and that's because it is the thing that's going to move the needle. Easy stuff usually doesn't move the needle. It doesn't roll the ball forward. It doesn't push the machine forward. Easy stuff. It's the hard stuff. It's when you do the hard stuff that moves the needle the most. But oftentimes what moves the needle lies in the unknown. It requires a risk, a leap of faith in some way. Those who are successful at what they do know this. And instead of shying away from the challenge, they make themselves do the hard things first. So several years ago, about a year and a half ago, I felt like I needed to challenge myself, challenge my willpower, challenge my mental strength. And so I had heard about this thing called cold plunging. Cold plunging. It's where you get into a tub of ice cold water. And so I started doing that, and I started doing that like the first thing. That's the first thing. And I realized if I do that first thing in the morning, the rest of the day, regardless of what I have planned, whether it's a tough meeting, whether it's a client that I'm coaching that is proving to be very difficult, that doesn't want to do the work, that it's easy because I did the hard thing first. I mean, it's hard to get out of bed, go outside and sit in ice water. That's hard. You don't want to do it. But if I do the hard thing first, the rest of the day becomes easy. All right. So success habit number 3 is successful people know how to say the word no. And I talk a lot about this in personality talks that I do. There's a certain personality type that finds saying the word no extremely hard. Nobody likes being told no. That's why so many people say yes to everything. One of my mentors, Howard Partridge, said, I think this is how he said it, if you try to be significant to a whole lot of people, you're going to be insignificant to a lot of people. Something like that. In other words, if you say yes to everything, you're not going to have time to do important things. So when you say no, you're actually saying yes to something more important. The only reason you should say no is because there's a higher priority for something else. So successful people know how to say no. They don't want to make others feel bad, or they don't want to sever current or potential friendships, or they don't want to be excluded from future possibilities, or there are situations that reward the fundamental metrics of time. I'm wrong page. Or they don't want to be looked down upon. Sorry. But the truth is, if you want to be successful, you're going to have to say no a lot, more than you say yes. Some of you think you'll make more money if you say yes. I argue that you're probably going to make more money and you'll become a master at what you do if you start saying no to other things and be able to focus on what your key priorities are. So successful people know how to use the word no. So it's very difficult for some people. Some people are just yes people. So number 4, successful people invest in themselves, both in terms of time and money. When was the last time, I'm going to step on your toes, folks, right now. When was the last time that you invested valuable time in you? And I'm not talking about deer hunting. I'm not talking about, fishing, but I'm talking about investing the time in you so that you can become a better person, a more well-rounded person, a It could be going to a seminar. It could be taking a course. It could be investing in you. We, especially as business owners, we're thinking about others. And that's a beautiful, beautiful trait for business owners to think about is how can I serve my clients? How can I serve my employees? How can I serve my vendors? But you also have to take care of you. So whenever I fly commercially, the flight attendants will get up front and say, if something should happen, oxygen mask will drop down. And they say something really important. They say, put the oxygen mask on you before you reach over and help somebody else. And I remember when I first started flying and thinking about that, that's actually selfish. So if there's an old lady beside me that is not capable of taking care of herself, I should take care of me before I can take care of her. And the answer is yes. Or if there's a young kid this side of me, I should take care of myself before I take care of the kid. If my wife is sitting beside me, I should put the mask on myself before I put it on my wife. And the answer is yes, because I can't help anybody if I'm dead. I can't serve anybody if I'm broke. It's very hard to help somebody when you're not in a position to help. So put it on yourself and then help other people. And it's just the basic principle of responsibility that we need to take care of ourselves. That's why we brush our teeth. That's why we take a shower. We take care of ourselves. We invest in ourselves. But we're talking more about taking care of your person, your character, your skills. So when was the last time that you invested in yourself, both in time and in money? And I would say that it's really, really important that you have a specific amount of time per year that you invest into you. Malin Yoder says, grow intentionally, have a growth plan. And that's so true. So true. So successful people invest in themselves, both in terms of time and money. Successful people see life through the lens of investment. All right. In my sales training class that I teach salespeople to never use the word price. So the price of this coaching program is, or never use the word price. Price is something that it costs you something. I teach, use the word investment. The investment for the coaching program is this amount. Because what do you expect to get when you make an investment? Somebody tell me, come off mute and tell me what you expect to get if you make an investment. Anybody? Maybe they don't know how to unmute. You get a return. You make an investment in hopes of a return. Okay? So the most important person to invest in, I believe, is yourself. So the majority of people don't invest. They spend the money they earn. They spend their time with people they don't really like, doing things they don't really enjoy. They spend and spend and spend, and then wake up one morning wondering why their life is the way it is. And it's simply because you didn't invest in yourself. You didn't invest in helping you learn a new trade, learn a new skill, learn a new character trait. Successful people, on the other hand, invest. They are conscious of how they spend their time and invest it towards their goals. They invest their money in creating additional revenue streams, not owning depreciating assets. They invest in themselves. They take courses, exposing themselves to the worthwhile attractions feeding their interest. Investing over time is what ultimately creates wealth, both financially and in terms of self-improvement and knowledge. That's number 4. Number 5, successful people surround themselves with other successful people. Most of us probably believe in the concept of if you hang around negativity, the chances are you're going to become very negative or more negative. So, I remember one time my mom said, "Hey, you probably shouldn't hang out with those people. You're going to become like them." Okay. So we tend to mirror what we're around, right? And so, they say that your success depends on the books you read and the people that you're around. And I think that's true. I think it's important that we surround ourselves with people that have done what we want to do, successful people. If you hang around a drug addict and you're hanging around drugs and drug addicts, very likely you're going to be sucked into that hole. But if you hang around very successful people in any area of life, if you hang around successful people that are successful in spiritual matters, you're probably going to become more like them. And so your network is your net worth. Think about that. Who do you network with? Who are you surrounding yourselves with? There in my career so far, I've had to make conscious decisions that it does not serve my interest, both spiritually, financially, physically, to hang around some certain people. And so you have to determine what is your value and then surround yourself with people that value the same things that you value. It's so important. So your network is your network. The true value of having a network is not access to things. It's about having access to people. One of my good friends, Bob Bodine, says that he told me, he says, "Dave, you already know everybody you need to know in order to be uber successful. You don't have to go out and know new people to be more successful. You have to have deeper relationships with the ones that you already know." Okay. So surround yourself with the people that are successful and learn from them, spend time with them, ask them questions. When you are surrounded by people who embody the same traits you hope to one day have, it speeds up the learning process. This is what I tell my potential clients all the time. When you hire me as a coach, you're hiring a shortcut. You're hiring a way to get there faster. How many of you want to get there faster? How many of you want to get to financial freedom faster? How many of you want to get to your goals faster? I like speed. Success loves speed. And so a coach is a shortcut. It's a shot in the arm. It helps you get there faster. So if you're surrounded by negative people or lazy people, angry and depressing people, those same traits will rub off of you. And so if you're around positive people, somebody that is happy, somebody that is optimistic, somebody that is knowledgeable, those same traits will rub off on you. Surround yourself with people who, in some way, or who you want to become, are who you want to become yourself. It's really, the concept is simple, but it takes work and it takes habits. Number 6, successful people study their craft. If I had to ask you, what is your craft? What is the one thing that you're known for? What is the one thing that you are an expert in? See, I approach a person with this mentality. That person is an expert in something. Every person is an expert in something. And if we approach relationships that way, imagine the humility that can come from that, the learning, the curiosity. Like, what are you an expert in? And how often do you study your craft? How often do you sharpen your skills in that area? So successful people study their craft. They learn, they take seminars, they go to, they if they're interested in something, they sharpen their pencil on that. They learn from it, they study their craft. Successful people don't separate their job and their personal life. Their job is their passion, or their craft is their passion. They study their craft relentlessly because it is a part of who they are. So one of my passions is orchids. These are plants. I don't have any in my office, but I have about 40 of them in my backyard and at my house. And so I've studied that. I go to orchid shows and I study them, and I'm learning things that I didn't know about them. There's millions of varieties of orchids, and there's millions being evolutionized right now. They're crossbred, and new orchids are there. It's an amazing study. And so I wouldn't say that I'm an expert in it, but I'm studying what I'm interested in. So that's the point of number 6. Number 7, successful people are accountable for their actions. I can tell you that when companies hire me, they hire me because their employees aren't as engaged as they should be, or they have a problem with their sales team, or it seems like their upper management isn't doing right. So they hire me to fix it. And I find it comical because it's usually not the sales team that has the problem, or it's usually not the upper management or the employees that have the problem. It's the leader, it's the owner. And so they're not being accountable for their actions. And I remember one time, and when I was in the middle of a really tough time, and I had an employee that was stealing from me, and I knew she was stealing, but I didn't know how she was doing it. And so I called my mentor, my coach at the time that I was paying him, and I said, this is what's happening. And he says, okay, because I was really laying the blame on that person. And he says, whoa, stop. And he says, whose fault is it? I said, it's hers. She's stealing from me. No, whose fault is it that she's stealing from you? And he got me to realize that it's my fault that she's able to steal from me, because I have a system that has a problem, and it makes so that she can steal with me without identifying how she's doing it. And so when I said, hey, you know what? It's not her, it's me. Now I have the power. Now I have the ability to say, what can I do to fix it? Not what can I do to make her stop, but what can I do to fix it? Every time that we say it's their problem, you're giving your power away. You're giving the very thing that you need away to fix it. And that's accountability. And so now I teach business owners, leaders, that everything is their fault. Your business is perfectly designed for the results that you're achieving. So if you don't like the results, you have to change the design. I could preach on this. Successful people are accountable for their actions. Lazy people point the finger at others and make excuses for why things don't happen. Successful people own up to the weight of their actions and take accountability for their own shortcomings. One of my good buddies, Luke Kipfer, we do leadership summits all across the country. He taught me this principle, that every leader has both a window and a mirror. And when things are going well, the leader moves over to the window and he says, wow, look at my people. Things are going great. I couldn't do it without them. He's looking outward. But when things are going not so well, when things are going bad, that leader moves away from the window and goes over to the mirror and says, mirror, mirror on the wall, tell me everything, tell me all. It's all about me, and it's about my leadership. And when I take responsibility for everything 100% that happens in my company, I then have the power to fix it. So don't hire me as a coach if you're not willing to be accountable, because otherwise it won't work. Number 8, successful people believe in themselves. Okay. Now, I know it's really, really important to believe in God, and I teach that, and I don't like the idea of believing in myself. That has a very new age, like, I don't like that stuff. But there is power in believing in your ability to do things. I forget who it was that says, if you say you can or if you say you can't, either way, you're right. So if you believe you can't do something, the chances are you're not going to do it. You're not going to be able to. But if you believe you can, you probably will. It's kind of like the quote that I think one day I'm going to become famous, but I need people to repeat it. I think I'm going to become famous for this statement. So write it down and tell people about this statement, because I came up with it probably about 6 years ago. Education will never find your passion, but passion will always find your education. And that's what this is talking about here. Successful people believe in themselves. They believe that they have what it takes to be able to do what they need to do. And if they don't have it, they know where to go to get it. They know how to buy a shortcut. They know how to hire a coach and buy that shortcut to get there. Successful people believe in themselves, not in a self-governing or a God way. We're not God and you're not God. All right. But I believe in my ability to do what I want to do. And if I don't know how to do it, I know somebody that does. And so have that positive mindset instead of a negative mindset. So basically, it's saying have a positive mental attitude. Lazy people want others to believe in them before they believe in themselves. Successful people, on the other hand, believe in themselves against all odds, oftentimes long before anybody else does. I hear so many stories of success that says, for many years, I was the only one that believed that this was possible, and I kept doing it. And that's what I'm talking about. You have to have a positive outlook. To be successful, this is a must. You cannot expect others to support and believe in something that you yourself cannot even tap into. Believe in yourself, have confidence in yourself, and understand that every ability that you have comes from God, comes from every talent that you have is from God. So when we don't believe in ourselves in the proper way, we're actually saying, I don't believe God knew what he was doing when he created me. That's another whole way to look at it. So again, the 8 ways successful people. Number 1, successful people plan ahead. Number 2, successful people do the hard stuff first. Number 3, successful people say no. And number 4, successful people invest in themselves. Number 5, successful people surround themselves with other successful people. Number 6, successful people study their craft. Number 7, successful people are accountable for their actions. And lastly, number 8, successful people believe in themselves. They have a positive attitude because they know whose they are. Okay. All right. How are we doing on time? 2:44. I got done quickly with that. I'm going to simply do this. I want all of you guys to, if you have any questions or comments or coaching questions or anything, I'm going to ask you to unmute yourself and simply ask the question. Is there anybody here that, oops, I just muted somebody that just muted themselves, unmuted. So is there anybody here that has a question that they'd like to ask? Who has my first question? I'm not going to wait long. And if you're on Facebook, you can type in a comment or a question really quick. I see it over here on the right-hand side. as soon as you type it in. So anybody brave enough to come off of mute on the phone calls and ask a question or make a comment. Going once, twice, 3 times. All right. So here's the phone number if you ever want to schedule a strategy call with me. It's a mini coaching session with me, absolutely free. And the phone number to call on that is put it up on the screen here for people to see it on the screen as well. But it is 813-580-8920. 813-580-8920 for a free mini coaching session with me, 30 to 45 minutes. And I want to tackle some of your challenges and help you for free overcoming some of your issues in your business. And if you want to check out my website, it's davekaufmanspeaks.com. And if you liked this content, could you do me a favor and share it? Share it right now. Get it out to as many people on Facebook. If you have a YouTube, share it on YouTube. The phone number, the people that are on the phone calls, please share this number out with some friends. And next Tuesday, let's have twice as big a group. We have a big group today. Let's have twice as big a group because I'm going to be sharing something really cool next week. All right. Thank you very much. God bless you. And we will talk to you next week.